Hey, you want to learn the easiest thing you can do to make your paintings much, much better and capture more of the nuance of the subject matter? Let me share it with you. So we're looking at this eggplant, and what's beautiful about eggplants is they're very dark but also reflective. So it's a wonderful opportunity to practice seeing the nuances. So what do you see when you look at this eggplant? Most people see violet, right? It's just the color of an eggplant, like dark, violet-y, but set that aside for a moment. Look at the shapes and look at the individual shapes within it. So I'm going to draw it for you and that will help you see it. So here we have the base, stem, whatever it's called. Let me know, my farmer friends. So big round shape. I'm going to even exaggerate it a bit and we're done. We have our eggplant, right? Nice. Now, within that, what are we seeing? We are seeing a division of light and dark, where the light is on the right side, the dark is on the left side, generally speaking. But there is some nuance to that. So I would say the area where light turns to dark is about here, something like that. Okay, that's the separation, but let's start carving it out. So do you see this lovely kind of bluish area here? Did you notice that? There's a blue reflection. I would bet you it's the sky around. And then there's this little window here of blue as well. But let's take it one step deeper. So here we have this dark violet, right? But check it out. Around this area, we're starting to get a mix of reds. Do you notice this bit of neutral red that's going down here all the way right down there? And hopefully I'm going to mark this up on the video for you. And then we have this crease in the shape of the eggplant, meaning the right side is going to be a dark purple. Then we have a lighter section right here. Now, I'm not saying you need to draw it like I have here. What I'm showing you is this little bit of process before we start painting is what's going to allow us to go fast in the painting process and capture all of these nuances. And I'm going to paint them pretty much alla prima. So then we have this nuance dark. Then we have this nuance light within the dark. We also have a bit of violet here. Can you see that? We also have a bit of blue right around here. And then we have a bit of green reflecting from the top and the stem. Then we have a bit of blue yet again here. Let's see how to tackle this. I'm going to go alla prima here. Again, you know I love that kind of painting. You don't have to work this way. What I'm sharing with you here is kind of my way of doing things. You adapt it to whatever you want. You know why you can adapt it to whatever you want? Because we've already done the hard work, and that is noticing all of these things. If you take a moment before you begin painting, just notice all of these things, your painting process will be much more informed. So let me show you. I'm going to start with this light patch right here. See? So I'm going to establish this blue and this blue and this bit of blue. And here it starts to look even a bit more purpley, just a bit. So, and again, I have some mixing experience, so I can get that done quite effectively. That's something that will come with time. And then here we have a bit of this blue. Now check it out. We have a bit of blue here and here. So instead of worrying about details, look at the big shapes. Figure out what it is you're painting. Now, let's start introducing those muted reds we're seeing. So I'm going to start a little strong here, relatively speaking, because it's going to dry more dull and muted. So right around here, this transitions right into that beautiful neutral red. Same here, we have this little red area, right? And there's a bit of hints of it here and there. And that's pretty much it. Now we can start transitioning into grays. Do you see how the border here is just a gray? Can you tell there's a gray? And then it turns into a white highlight. There's a gray. There's a gray here. This is gray. Can you see that? This is actually a gray color. And then there's a highlight. And then immediately we get into some of these more violety red colors. So I'm going to mix my red and violet, and we're going to get this bit of, see, it starts to go darker. I'm going to switch to a larger brush. Now is the perfect time. And we're going to start capturing the lit areas by adding in the shadowy areas. And this is fun. So this is the violety bit. and it's gonna wrap around. There's a highlight there, so check it out. It's gonna wrap around here, and it's gonna continue down to here, and funny enough, here we have a gray again. So if you can't see it for yourself, that is fine. The more you look at me doing it, the more you'll be able to capture these things yourself. But can you see there's a bit of a gray transition there, right? And then, as we travel to the left side, I like to put in all of the similar shapes of similar color because I already have it on my brush, but you don't have to. It just makes things a lot easier. Now here we have a very colorful yet dark patch of this violet. Even more, a bit more red, I would say, but now we can crank up the darkness. So I'm gonna just mix very dark black color, get it with the violet together just to create this darkest dark, and check it out. I'm gonna start mapping in those darker shapes, see? Now you're gonna get some white gaps, and that is fine. You wanna minimize those sometimes, but sometimes you can get away with them and it's okay. Check it out. This area, fully dark, right? Even if you don't do a perfect job with it, by the way, the fact that we've done that preparation already sets us up to do much better than we would have otherwise. So it's a numbers game in a way. The more you get down accurate to either your vision or what's actually there, the better the result's gonna be. And so the more you can kind of set yourself up for success, I'm gonna do a bit of wet and wet there. The more you can almost set yourself up for success, the more you'll incrementally improve your results. Now here we have a bit more of that gray, but it's a lot darker. So let's just place in some color in between, right? And if you're looking at this right now and you're like, it's still a mess. Yes, it is, but check it out. It's all gonna connect. I'm gonna start adding in a bit of that green reflected from the environment and just place it in here, closing off all of these blue windows, let's call them. And we're gonna loosen up some edges while we're at it. So this could be a little softer, right? This could be a little softer. The bottom here, funny enough, is that nice little green, you see? The key here is seeing it. Once you see it, here there's a bit of blue towards the length of the side. Once you're able to see it, your results will inevitably grow. Now let's be very practical here. I'm just gonna add this green. It's more of an artificial green, so I'll just add my pre-mixed and see if this ends up working. Just to set it apart from the rest of the greens. And of course there's light and shadow and all of that good stuff. This would be the light side. And then there is a bit of nuanced, even reds here towards the base. Do you see that red? And am I crazy? There's a bit of red there. Even here. And we're gonna add the shadows underneath. And this is why I love eggplants as a painting subject. It just gives you so much variety with this reflectiveness. Here there's a bit of a shadow. It's closing off onto those greens, and check it out. For now we have this really cool detailed, there's a shadow here, detailed eggplant that we can start comparing and developing more. So I do feel like some areas could be a little darker. So like this area right here, there's a bit of texture on that. So why not capture that, going kind of length, down the length of it. I feel like this area right here could go a little darker still. So we can just do that. See, just a bit darker, right? And there are all of these gaps. You can close them if they annoy you. It's more about how much you're being accurate with your shapes. And check it out. We have something really cool here. Let's frame it up with some of the greenery in the background. And I'm going to change it. I'm going to make it more neutral because I don't want it to be as vibrant as it is in the reference. So a bit of phthalo blue actually could work well here. And then check it out. I'm going to start framing the stem and the bases here. And there's actually sky, but why not? Why not? We go ahead and trap the lit area, make it stronger and more interesting by adding a dark background, right? That's another choice you can make. It's fully your choice, and you see how it makes it pop, right? And then as we reach towards this area, we can kind of let it almost disappear with some clean water. And maybe we can get a bit more of that artificial green just to indicate the tree is there. But now it's just small touches for the overall composition, so to speak. But you see how just by doing the right preparation, and you can start developing this, by the way. So there's another eggplant back there. Why not? You know, we could do some wet and wet here and just establish some of the other details. So we have this beautiful eggplant here in the background. And there are some highlights on it. So we could lift a bit with this damp brush. See, I lifted a highlight. And then there's a bit of a blue color towards its top. So we can just feed it that blue. And then kind of lift a bit to make it lighter. And then we can use this nice, more red color just around the edges to make it a little more interesting. And then lift back whatever needs lifting, because this is wet and wet, so things are changing and shifting. And then you could design a bit of the background even more by, let's say we want more greens. So let's decide that this is green, right? And there are leaves here, or foliage in general, right? You can start doing these, designing the background however you want and structuring it however you want. This isn't really a lesson about the background. It's more about how do I capture all of these nuances. Now, you don't have to, and I'm going to give you a bonus tip here. You don't have to do this with a drawing. If you're the kind of person who gets stressed a bit by detailed drawings, you could just do it directly just to taste what it would look like. So what do I mean by that? You see a blue, right? You put in, that's not a blue. You see a blue, you place in that blue shape with a bit of water, right? And then, look, we're gonna work abstractly here. And then it's surrounded by darks. So if I gather my dark carbazole red mix that I've had from earlier, and I wrap it around it, and I'm starting to see what it looks like, right? On the other side too, maybe. And then towards the bottom, it switches over to a bit more of a gray neutral color, so we could just establish that. And if it feels too dark, you can go ahead and add water just to lift back some of the paint here. See, make it lighter. And then, ooh, do you see this red here? Let's see if we can capture that too. So you go ahead and you add this bit of red here that touches this dark, and you see, and the red shape. And then, ooh, there's a blue around that red, so let's capture that too. So you see there's a bit of that blue here and there, right? All of these nuances. You can practice this in an isolated, abstract manner and still get a really nice result that tells a story, right? Or you can do a sketch, and some people find it, you know, easier to do this way, that way. Now, of course, this is a mess. We worked fast, right? And my sketch was kind of done really quickly. You could fine tune it more and more and more and more. But this is what makes it look beautiful. Not the fine tuning. The fine tuning is just finishing touches, but I guarantee you, just take a few steps back from the screen, from the whatever you're looking at this through, it will start making a lot of sense. And this is without even optimizing the light and shadow, right? Because there is a bit more shadow here. You could really start fixing up the shapes, the overall light and shadow transition. This, for example, could be just darker, and there's a lot of things you can do to start optimizing this, but at the end of the day, this is where the beauty comes from, not the little details you add. The more you can capture the vast variety of colors and nuances that you see in a smooth way, instead of a fragmented way where every shape is very labored, this is what makes watercolor breathe. You can then, of course, decide to take a more slower, careful, measured approach if you want to, but you're not beholden to that. You don't have to do that. You can crank it up like a volume knob, more or less, and you make the decision. Look, If you want to learn watercolor painting, if you have decided you actually want to master it and start seeing the results you want instead of being frustrated by things that are just overworked and maybe too gray and boring and the colors don't work, check out the frustration-free watercolor course. I'm going to put a link down below. But in any case, thank you so much. I want to thank everyone who supports me, by the way, over on Patreon. If you want to receive credits at the end of the videos, this is where you want to check it out. You will get access to a couple of exclusive processes with more to come, but it's mainly just for the credits at the end of the videos and knowing you are greatly supporting my work on a regular basis. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.